sorry about the room. Yeah. How did you guys know it was down here?
I got a text.
Thanks for sending that out. Sweet. So yeah, we're gonna go through the AMCAS application. I can't log into my DO one, the AACOMAS, because I guess I forgot my password. Yeah. So, but I can talk about the differences because I know those off the top of my head. But anyway, who's applying this coming June? Have you guys all received, like, have you done your evaluation, that self-evaluation thing?
The one that Fritzler sent out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys received, like, his critique?
Not yet.
Oh, he hasn't sent that back yet? Okay. You guys know what is required though, right? Or like what's, I mean, obviously you know what's recommended at this point, you know, followers as part of volunteer, things like that. How many of you are writing about your experiences though? Right now?
Yeah.
Some, yeah. So that's pretty important, I think. I don't know about, I think Isaac's the only other one that's applied. Did you write about stuff before you did your application?
Yeah,
Like you
especially
keep like a journal or
yeah, like
something?
when I was shadowing, I always bring like I was in the OR, so I can like bring a ton of stuff a lot of the time, like in some of my shadowing. But I always have at least a piece of paper like folded up and some that I write with,
Yeah.
so that I could write down. Like if I had a cool experience, I'm like, yeah, I could write. I shadowed this guy. It was great. He was really awesome in that. But if I can like bring up a specific experience, it'd be way better.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I did write down stuff as I.
And then like, so I did that for, hi, how are you? I did that for just about everything I did. So for shadowing, for like after school elementary programs, hospice I talked about, you know, I just have this paper after paper after paper on my computer of like different experiences that I have that were meaningful to me, right? So I recommend you doing that, especially, I don't know, this Christmas break would be a really good opportunity, but like before you apply, because this takes a really long time to fill out these applications, and they're a huge pain in the butt. What's up?
Here's a selfish pitch for Civitas. Like, we teach you how to do that in the classes we're teaching in the spring. Helps you like reflect on your extracurriculars that you're doing, and we help you set up a website, like reflecting all the things that you're already doing as a pre-med student, and then you can kind of put that in there when you're doing your interviews, and you can have pictures and stuff on your website, and it's not anything that sets people apart, I think.
Cool. Yeah, people register for that class.
Yeah. It's just, you get directed readings credit in the college of your choice, so I got mine in micro last year, but there's tons of people that get it in psychology or zoology or whatever.
Right on. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna just jump into my application and just kind of show you what it is to help you get familiar with it before you actually have to do it. Because Adam did this last year, and I thought it was extremely helpful for me when I was going through my own application. But don't be afraid to like ask questions or anything as you go. So yeah. So anyway, so you open it up, make this nice account. We get this sweet number, because that's all we are these days, numbers. And yeah, so then we'll go to identifying information. So we go right there. We got nice little, you know, your birth and sex. And but anyway, so there's all this stuff, ID numbers, yada yada yada. That's pretty self-explanatory. So then schools attended. So it wants everything, like it wants your high schools, it wants all the different colleges that you've attended, it wants transcripts, not from high school, but from all the different colleges. And then just to make sure you have no institutional action or, you know, if they've gotten like U's or UW's or anything like that, this is where you'll have to talk about.
Also, if I might add in,
Uh-huh.
you also have to put, like, if you took a concurrent enrollment class in high school, you have to put whatever college you did that through. So like, I did some concurrent
Right,
enrollment
yeah.
through SLIC when I was in high school. And even though I'd never have gone to SLIC a day in my life, I still had to contact SLIC for transcripts and do all this stuff. So
Right.
it's just like, I had to do as much work getting my stuff from SLIC as I did from Weaver. And I've been at Weaver for 4 years, so.
Right, yeah, and so like I know that there's a lot of high school credit that, you know, you can get through Utah State as well. So like every single school, if you get any college credit from, you need all of that, all of those transcripts. So it can be a real pain. Let's see, let's go for this right here. These transcripts. Yeah, so there's all of that, so I'm not gonna do that too much. So anyway, all this stuff, and then it doesn't really get fun until you get about to the coursework. But as you can see, there is all of these different things. So this is my overall section, right? This is the section summary that we're looking at right now. But you're gonna need to put in everything. So like income level of family, paid employment, if you've had employment or if you're currently employed, if you've gotten Pell Grants, if they want all demographics about you, your socioeconomic status, the socioeconomic status of your parents. I'm not military or have served in the military. My parents had served in the military, so there wasn't much on that. Felonies and stuff like that, they want to know. Misdemeanors, so Utah has weird laws. Their traffic violations are misdemeanors in Utah. So if you don't put anything on the misdemeanor portion, but you've got either parking tickets that aren't for the school, like, so I got several parking tickets for Ogden City. I've got several traffic violations. They want all that on there. And it's a red flag to them if you don't put it on there, and then they do background checks on you and it comes up misdemeanors. That's gonna look way worse than you just, what?
You raise your hand first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so would you say to contact Utah State, like Highway Patrol, or the city or county that you've gotten tickets in
For,
for traffic violations, like moving violations?
yeah, so if you can remember, right, because they want pretty accurate dates of when you got those.
Yeah.
So the more specific you can be about that, the better. So like all of mine were through Ogden City, so it's pretty easy. I can just go on the website or whatever and pull up my history there.
Okay.
But I would definitely do that. And get dates close by. Were you gonna say something?
BCI is a good way. I just went and just ran my whole background to see if there was anything possible on there.
Okay.
And it brought up pretty much every traffic ticket I've ever had since I was 18. So,
Okay.
and pretty much wherever I was driving.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to find your
Is that
background.
just the BCI, is that a website or is that, you know,
It's
somewhere?
the
I don't remember
Bureau
that.
of Criminal Investigation.
Oh, okay.
They do the best, they probably do the best background check if you're worried about any kind of traffic tickets or anything.
Yeah, so Utah's weird, I mean, because it's gonna pull up, if they run backgrounds on you, which schools will, it will pull up that you do have misdemeanors. But I mean, if you're from California and they're not misdemeanors, then you'd be fine there. So you definitely wanna let them know here before they catch you messing. Were you gonna say something?
Well, just maybe a petty question, if you had like a traffic violation before you were technically an adult, should you still include
See,
that?
I did, so I got my first speeding ticket when I was like 16, and so I just put that on there just in case.
Put it,
Yeah,
put
I
it
just
rather than
I
not
covered
put it.
all of my
Yeah.
bases because I didn't want any red flags to happen. So that would be my recommendation, put everything on there.
I'm gonna try and interrupt as little as possible, but
No, you're good.
if Fritz was here, he'd tell the story about a student, not last year, but the year before, got accepted. And they were all good to go, and then they got their background check like late spring, summer, and the school said, hey, you had a misdemeanor because they had a speeding ticket you didn't report, and they said, we're not gonna accept you anymore. And so Fritzler had to like, just barrage this school and just bug him so much, and he barely got this student to be able to still go to this school that they've been accepted to. So if you have any question about it, put it on there, like,
Yeah.
just don't.
When in doubt, just do it because that's a big deal. There was a student last year that I guess he was kind of rambunctious, let's say, in high school. And so he had all sorts of stuff on here, and he was getting calls left and right last year from all these schools, you know. And I mean, he's okay, but yeah, he was just telling me stories about how funny it was to talk to him on the phone. So you're thinking he's this big criminal guy. It's like, I'm a little rambunctious when I was, 16, 17 years old and whatnot, but other than that. Yeah, but make sure you do everything there. This is a good opportunity, to tell about not really tell about yourself, but it does ask you questions about languages. So I know Texas schools are really big, like if you're bilingual, like you can speak Spanish and English, that would be good to put on there. Anyway, yeah. So, cool. So here's my transcript, and I'm okay with you seeing my grades. Because they're not too shabby. But anyway, so we go down, and you literally have to hand type in every single thing on here. This takes so much time.
And you might have to do it again in secondaries.
Yeah, some schools do require in secondaries. It's a pain. But the easiest way is just go to Weber State. You can print off an unofficial transcript, and then from there just list them off. But make sure it's exactly as it is on your unofficial transcript. Because if it's not, this has to go through AMCAS, and people manually verify it through the school. So if it's not exactly the same, your application won't be complete until your transcripts are verified. So be really meticulous here. Enter all the grades just like they have them, the exact name of the classes that appears on your transcript, the course identification number, the terms. Make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. And yeah, you can also put in like your future classes as well, so they can see that you're going to graduate when you say you're going to graduate. But once you turn in your application, how long did it take to verify a transcript when they got it?
Like from when I sent them?
At least 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would say a couple of weeks,
Maybe
something around there.
longer than
Yeah,
that.
2 or 3 weeks.
The earlier you send them, the quicker they're going to be verified. And if we go back to the main menu, so you'll release your transcripts. You'll say, yeah, you can contact the school, you can, and whatnot, but you actually have to go into the student services building and send the transcripts. And on the transcript page, right here, you go to request transcript form, and it tells you the address of where to send your transcripts. And so the school sends them for you. And then the school lets you know when they send them, and then hopefully 2 weeks after you'll get this transcript and letter receipt information. And then it says AMCAS is complete once they have all your letters, once they have your transcript. But yeah, coursework sucks. It takes a long time. Well, not too long, but it's just tedious and boring.
So if we're applying this June, when would be the best time to send your transcripts? Would that be right after the spring semester? Or would
Yeah,
or is this something we should do sooner rather than later?
No, I would send them when you start working on this.
So this should open in May, beginning of May.
Also, so this isn't open right now?
No,
Okay.
so this opens, I think it's May 1st, actually, is when it opens.
Yeah.
So once it opens, you can send your transcripts anytime after that. But make sure you register with AMCAS first. Don't just, you have to get that print form, or that print form release.
Yeah.
Because that has to be sent with your transcripts.
Okay. Does the DO one open up a little bit earlier? Because I know some DO schools you can apply, I think,
I
in
don't
May.
know the date
so-
on DO. I know AMCAS is May 1st, but
Okay.
DO, I don't
I
remember.
think, I might not be right on this, but I think it opens at the same time, but you can submit it earlier. Like you can submit it as soon as it's open.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think it opens still on May 1st, but
Okay.
there's no like submission.
Yeah, so as soon as it opens, you're good to
Yeah.
start applying.
But like
They have their own print release
Yeah.
for transcript forms as well that you have to send it in. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I would do this early though, just because, sorry to keep talking.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Because I applied MD, DO, and Texas schools, so Texas has another separate application service. And so I had my SLIC transcripts, my Weaver transcripts, and I had to send them to each one of those. So you had to send out 6 transcripts. So it's just a pain in the neck, and just do it early so that if there's any problems, you can fix them out before it's been too long.
And then is this where your GPA is calculated for the MD schools? Do they, or do you calculate it yourself?
No, so you put in your grades, and so once you send your transcripts, they get it. That's when it's complete, is that they verify your GPA.
Okay.
So they calculate your GPA for you and then populate it on here.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, so you don't do that yourself, they do it. But that's the GPA that gets sent to
Yeah.
schools is from them. What's up?
If you retake a class, you have to mention that on there as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned every class. And so that's the thing about retaking classes too, is that Weber State, your GPA looks really good, right? So say you got a C in OChem, right, or OChem 2 or whatever. And so you retake it and then you get an A. So on your Weber State transcripts, your GPA takes into account only the A. But your AMCAS will take into account both. So on AMCAS, your GPA will reflect a B grade in OChem versus an A grade on your Weber State. Does that make sense?
I think
Yeah.
I think DO schools do grade replacement.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
DO does.
MD doesn't. but-
MD does.
Yeah.
This is MD, by the
Yeah.
way, AMCAS. So they don't do the grade replacement, they average the two. So I mean, that's why you should just try to get good grades the first time, right? Because if you have to retake it, it's better to get a C and then get an A, and then you average and get a B, than failing and getting an A, and then you average and get a C. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And it's okay, I mean, if you have to take the course, is great, but don't just like, when you realize you want to retake it, don't just give up and then fail it, because that's not going to look good. Any more questions on transcripts or anything like that? Cool. So now the fun part that takes the longest is work and activities. So DO this is where one of the biggest difference between your DO application and your MD application is that you only have 15 slots for your AMCAS, whereas DO you have as many slots as you want. As far as activities go. So I did like several research projects, and I put them, I think I put them all separate here. Yeah, I did put them all separate here. But, let's see, what did I, okay, so like my tutoring TA experience, I put that in one thing. So I was a TA for a couple of labs, and I did tutoring and whatnot. So I put that in one thing, but on my DO application, I separated those out. Physician shadowing, I shadowed several physicians, and I put my individual hours for each physician I shadowed separately on my DO application. Here, I just combined it all into one thing. So you only get 15 things, and that's why, like, if you cannot fill the 15 things on this application, you probably should wait to apply until you can have at least 15 different experiences that you can heavily talk about. And you've probably heard Dr. Fritzler tell that, or Jane, in advising, depending on where you're at. So this is why they tell you that magic number. You want 15 different meaningful experiences, so you can fill these up. And then, so, I don't remember the exact word count, it's been forever. But you get your top 3 that are your most meaningful. And if it's not top 3, you only get 700 characters, as you can see right over here. So if it's not very meaningful, you only get 700 characters. If it is meaningful, then you get 700 characters to describe it, plus an extra 1325 to talk more about it and whatnot. So this is really important this is why I was talking about earlier, to keep record of what you're doing and the meaningful experiences, because it just makes it easier when you go to type up your application. I was given advice last year to just start thinking about what you'd say on these, and even like making a Word document of, this is one of my meaningful experiences, and start typing up, describing why it's important to you, how it's influenced you, and keeping it within that 700 character limit or whatever, because that can be kind of hard, right? I mean, if something's really meaningful, you could just talk on and on about it. But to make it concise and to the point that it will be conveyed to the admissions committee of how important it is to you could be really hard. So doing trial runs, trying to type these up and get your words right is really important. I think, do you have any suggestions as far as this section goes?
Yeah,
or-
so on your most meaningful ones, the ones where you only get the 700, I
Right.
think it's really important, because 700 characters really isn't that much.
Yeah, it's not.
So I think it's really important to be able to concisely talk about both what you did, because I think it's important to say, this is what I did, and kind of show off a little bit. For example, I did like a suicide prevention walk here on campus, and so I kind of showed off a little bit and said, this is how much money we raised, and yada, yada, yada. But I think it's also important to talk about, even though it's not your most meaningful experience, to talk about how it like personally impacted you. So to describe the nuts and bolts while also describing like the meaning it had for you. In 700 characters can be really tight, like that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
In the most meaningful ones, it's a lot easier, but you might have the opposite problem where if you don't have 3 different activities that you could talk like a whole page about, that's not a good sign. It shows that you don't have a lot of depth in these experiences that you've been having, so there's that. And then also, for the DO application, it's 600, I believe, characters, which is even less.
Right.
And then for the Texas ones, if anyone's applying Texas schools, it's like 150 words. It's like 2 sentences. So that is really frustrating to be able to, like, you have this awesome experience and all you have is 2 sentences to write about it, so. Being concise is a big deal.
Yeah, and, yeah, for sure, being concise is the whole deal, I think. But like, being concise effectively, to
Yeah.
be concise and not say anything at all, right? So you gotta be able to, pull out the biggest, most impactful thing that happened to you, and why, I mean, really they wanna see, and I wanna kind of give my little soapbox spiel on activities. Don't just do activities to do them or to write about them, do activities where you made a significant contribution. If the organization that you volunteered for, or the club that you are a part of at Weaver State or wherever, if it isn't any different, or you didn't do anything to make it different during your time there, it's not really that significant. I've heard this from, so there's a guy, or there's a student that applied, and he actually did a mock interview with some professor at BYU, some mock med school interview. And the professor was asking about some of his activities and extracurriculars, and he said that that's a huge thing to admissions committee, because he sat on the University of Utah's admissions committee before. And he says, if you can't convey like a significant contribution that you've made or a way that you've changed some organization or whatever, it's not really that significant to the admissions committee. So if you're just, I mean, it's hard for like physician shadowing, right? You're not really gonna make a significant contribution to that. I think they realize that. But like, if you're a part of a club and the club isn't any different, or you didn't try to do anything different while you were a part of it, it doesn't really mean much. So you want to make sure that when you're doing your extracurricular activities or work or whatever, that you're making a meaningful impact on that organization. And if you can do that and communicate that, that's going to look so much better than applicants that aren't doing it.
Amen.
So, yeah, so there's my soapbox. So for example, I was a part of the National Society of Collegiate Scholars. I was the president of it one year, which is, great, hoo-ha, whatever. But we worked with the engineering department to build and design percussion instruments for the preschool playground that's out there outside the education building. So if you go look in the corner, they actually have these percussion instruments installed that like we helped design.